It is Sunday sit-down time. With us now virtually is my good friend Eric Blum from the Columbia Daily Tribune, covering all things Mizzou athletics. Eric, how's your Sunday going? It's a beautiful day outside. You get out today?
Got out with the dog a little bit, watched a little bit of the Masters, and just taking it easy today. This time of year is pretty easy with, just no football, no basketball, just the diamond sports going on. So just a relatively, tame time of year.
Well, the transfer portal has been anything but tame. Now, I just checked before this, almost 1,300 transfers across the nation, according to Verbal Commits online database, and Mizzou's got 6 of them. What's your overall takeaway from all the transfers we're seeing across college hoops?
It was expected, but it's still every bit as crazy. I mean, it's the new fad, and combined with the COVID year, combined with just the normal uptick you were expecting from the transfer portal, from it still being a relatively new thing. It's only about 3 or 4 truly in full effect years old. And so it's kind of the in fad thing to do now is go to test the waters. And if you're in any kind of adverse situation or you just want to test the waters, I mean, you see it. I mean, I think we're above 4 per Division I team now, with it being, I think, 1248 was the total. I have it 4 per team at 357 Division I teams. So it's above that total now. And Mizzou is above the average at 6, with truly 4 of them not already expected back next year, with Drew Buggs and Mark Smith. Probably not a part of the plans anyway, but not coming back to Columbia. So, I mean, one way to look at it for Missouri is, did they cut bone or did they cut fat with losing those, 6 players? And really the only one that I think is truly going to hurt Missouri going forward is Xavier Pinson. But they brought in Boogie Coleman, so he's not a like for like, switch as of right now, just because Boogie Coleman has not played in a high power level conference like an SEC, and Xavier Pinson is proven at that level.
Well, let's look at the 3 transfers thus far. You mentioned Boogie Coleman, who comes from Ball State, who I've seen some of his highlights. He looks could be a really good scorer for Mizzou moving forward with 3 years of eligibility, but also Amari Davis and Deshaun Gordon from Kansas State. What's Mizzou getting with those other 2 guys?
And you pronounced it right, Deshaun Gordon, not DeJuan Gordon, from
Absolutely.
Kansas State. Kind of a trade with Mark Smith. A guy who is really a 2-point threat, a mid-range guy is his bread and butter. His 3-point percentage is around 22%, which is not good, even a little bit, but he'll take some of them. But when you see just how, just Gordon played for them last year, he went toe-to-toe with Baylor in his final game, down there in Little Apple. So he's a quality addition. And Amari Davis really, kind of takes up, whatever 2-guard role that maybe Mark Smith had, more so as a like-for-like change there. Just, and we've seen it in the past with Konzo at Mizzou, with Cassius Robertson and Drew Smith, taking those great high-level players from some of the mid-majors and turning them into all SEC guys. Boogie Coleman is probably at the top of that list in terms of that potential, but Davis and, Gordon are not too far behind. 2 quality additions so far, and the coaching staff has got to be pumped up. And if they can add a front court player, a center, maybe a Liam Robbins or Christian Bishop, I think they'd be jazzed with how this went.
Well, still 2 scholarships remaining. So is there a chance that, if Konzo can keep this going, that the Mizzou can actually have a better team next year than they did this year?
That's tough, because the 3 players we haven't mentioned that aren't looking elsewhere, in a Drew Smith and a Jeremiah Tillman and a Mitchell Smith. While Mitchell Smith didn't have some of his best stuff, I think that he plugged in a lot of holes, and I'm a big fan of his, actually. I think he doesn't get the credit he deserves. So when you look and see, just as a person and as personalities, what Mizzou is lacking, there's just not that much leadership and senior experience that's coming back to this team. So to call it better with potential is going to be tough, no matter who the final 2 additions is. Like, if, let's say it's Christian Bishop and they get Tamar Bates to fill that that final spot. And I don't think it's a given they're filling all 13. I think they will fill 12. 13 maybe, but Konzo really has to be infatuated with that person, and Tamar Bates would do that. But just let's say that in a best case scenario, it's the 2 of them. I think right below where this team is, but I think that compared to where some people thought they might be, with some of the players that were coming back that didn't play much last year, I think this is a step up from what the grand outlook was to next year's team about a couple weeks ago.
Moving over to softball now. Larissa Anderson's squad got a huge win Friday night. You were there at Mizzou Stadium for the run rule of the 17th ranked LSU Tigers, but then 2 straight losses after that today in the doubleheader. What's your sense of this team right now?
Yeah, even on Zoom on Friday night, Larissa was like, this is great for tonight, but I don't want to get too far ahead of her. herself in that sense. And she was exactly right. Those things happen. It swings back and forth and kind of an even series. A doubleheader in the SEC is just so grueling. So you can take it as kind of one combined loss, but a ton to work on for Mizzou. So they're right on that cusp of where in a traditional year, hosting a NCAA regional would be right in the cards for this team, right in the top 16 of the country. But because there's going to be predetermined sites that might get it anyway, or they might not anyway, but the better they do, the more chance they'll have of hosting one if they submit a bid, which they should. But my overall sense is that this is still year 3, I believe, for Larissa Anderson taking over, after an interim coach in 2018, and then this is 2019, 2020, and now 2021. And she's really got this thing back rocking and rolling. I think that, the Women's Lacrosse World Series is not too far in the distant future of the trajectory of this program.
Well, what about baseball? They won on Friday night over 11th ranked South Carolina, but then 2 straight losses as well. Do they even have a chance to make a regional this year, or what are your expectations for them the rest of the way here?
No. I'm sorry to say that, just the SEC is too strong. There's too much going against them to where I think that they need to get on a roll. And South Carolina is number 11 in the country, and they played with them in those, for some of those losses, and they beat them Friday night. But in terms, I think it's just a little too early and too young of a team. I mean, they haven't had the greatest luck. In 19, they probably deserved to make the NCAA tournament. They were the second team out, so number 66 of the 64. Getting to where softball needs to be is basically what they need to make the NCAA tournament.
Well, Eric Blum from the Columbia Daily Tribune, thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Sports Zone. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Anytime, Kaufman. Happy to do it, man.
All right, we'll be right back after this.